Musically meditated. Welcome to Musically Meditated Podcast. This is the lyrical content part deuce. I'm here with Bret Short. Bret, what's the name of your podcast?
G.G. Stalin and the Absurdity Junkies.
Right
As we mentioned before, I am Bret, son of Denver. Don't come for me, though. Check out my boys, Dijon and Edward Davini, especially. That you cannot find him in any other podcast except when you guest stars.
Right. Well, this is what we're going to do with this section 2 here is focus on lyrical content.
Of course.
Like we did with the first episode, but more on a political
right,
vibe.
because, it's obviously a big part of lyrics.
Lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Just to go into like my childhood stuff like we did with the first episode. First time I was really presented anything political was definitely Rage Against the Machine off the top of my head.
Yeah, which, I mean, we're talking about how weird humanity is in our society. It's really weird a band like Rage Against the Machine got as big as they did. That's about as left as you can get. I don't know if you know they're like full blown communists.
Yeah,
it's fucking crazy.
Right.
And like it became like one of the best selling bands.
There's a crazy fact about them. When 9/11 happened, there was like this thing going around the radio stations, like what you can and cannot play or what you can and cannot say.
Oh yeah, they weren't anywhere near that shit.
They were the only band that was mentioned you cannot play anything by Rage Against the Machine. Rage for me was definitely the most political band that I was into at a young age, and then
which is crazy because they're kind of the most political band
ever. And I remember my friend's brother had the Laserdisc, and not only that, the CD. And this was when the first album came out, and I think that came out in like 92.
91.
Was it 91?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, so I remember I was probably at least 10 years old, but we would steal or we would borrow. We would always give it back, but we would borrow that first Rage Against the Machine CD with the monk that lit himself on fire. And we would jam that album. Like it was huge back then. And like we knew it was political, but we didn't know how political it was, like what they were actually trying to say because we were so young. But that one line, a yellow ribbon instead of my swastika, we thought they were skinheads. You know,
that's
just
so funny.
Isn't
My friend from high school, I remember when we first started, he was like, yeah, I don't know about that band. They're pretty racist, which is hilarious, but go ahead.
You look at that album cover and it's extremely intimidating. And
Sure.
You know, it was just it was a big thing.
It's weird to think about getting like goosebumps, like or getting the willies, like looking at those album covers when you're young. Like they're so intense and dark for that age. Like people gotta realize, like, shifting in the 90s, shit got dark media-wise.
Right.
Like, the people were really exposing just, like, how... I guess people are getting kind of sick of, like, the glam and sunshine of most popular radio then.
That was one of
80s.
the first posters I ever bought, too, like, from, like, CD Trading Post and stuff. Like, you know, it was Rage's first album cover. Like, I still have that poster. That was, like, my first poster.
Damn.
What was your first poster? What you got?
First music poster or first like
music poster, bruh?
Ooh, first music poster. Remember I was mentioning I was lame as shit in high school.
Wasn't Godsmack.
I wasn't that lame. Even I would have known better back then. I don't think I got a music poster in my 20s, and like I got my own place. You know what I mean? And like I went out, and that's when like I bought a Bad Brains poster. I bought Sam Cooke, Otis Redding. Bought Michael Jackson, of course.
Cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jacko.
Oh yeah.
Let's transition into, I said Rage, and then the next metal band that was politically influential to me was System of a Down.
Sure.
I know you got some System stuff to say, right?
Ooh, boy, I got some Rage stuff to say too.
Okay.
If you want, just to show, like, a lot of people, like, I'm not saying they directly wear their influences on their shoulder, but it's pretty, I mean, they're pretty blatant and forward about, like, their political message, Rage Against the Machine. Like, the second album, my favorite, Evil Empire. Do you know why they named that album that by any chance?
No.
It's from a Ronald Reagan line, actually, because he called Russia the Evil Empire. And they're like, you think communists are evil? Well, we're going to wear that like a superhero thing. Like, we're here to topple.
I remember when that came out. I was young.
I remember
was
listening
in middle
on
school.
Yeah. I was in middle school, and I remember fucking hating it when I was a kid.
But I just remember.
But you were more in the rap, though. So
yeah, I loved it. Like, and to blend it both, like to blend both genres. And I remember, shout out to Aaron Cradaville. He was like the first one to have it. Like I remember, like it was yesterday. Like he had it, so we hung out.
So huge. It was.
I mean, he was my buddy, but like other people hung out. Like I mentioned in the first episode, like Bone Thugs.
Sure,
you know, East 99 Eternal. Like if you had the CD, like you were cool and people hung out. But yeah, Evil Empire was huge. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Can't waste the day when the night brings a hearse.
Make the movement plead the fifth when you can't plead the first.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I'm rolling down with Daya with a shotgun. These people have seen a brown-skinned man since their grandparents bought one.
Yeah.
And the most intense lyric outside of all of that, which really shows, and I think it really puts Rage Against the Machine and it shows their Marxist leftist ways, is that line. Do you remember the line? Fuck the G-Ride. I want the machines that are making them.
Yeah, that was... That was the same track.
Same song, yeah. Same song, yeah.
Tire Me is probably my favorite.
Oh, that song is so
Rage
good.
song.
Like, even the biggest Rage haters, I think, should like listen
that
to that
bass
song.
line though.
Oh, and them doing a punk, like fuck that, dude. That's awesome. I wish they would have had more punk songs like that because I love their Minor Threat cover.
Right, but Tom Morello is such a douchebag.
Yes, he. I swear to God.
What do you got? What you got? What you got? He's got something written, y'all.
I just put I think Zach.
It just says huge with a heart around it. Tom Morello is a douchebag.
No. Close. It says. I said like I wanted to ask you rate Zach De La Rocha as a rapper, and then right below that I put Tom Morello sucks. LOL.
He's such a douchebag. He likes the Cubs. Are you a Cubs fan? Yeah, you look like okay. Yeah, but yeah, like I lost all the credit. Like
when you found just because you found out he was a Cubs fan.
Well.
I have way worse stuff about him.
His interviews are extremely annoying.
Sure.
If you ever watch any interviews of Tom.
Dude,
but the Cubs stuff was god-awful.
First time I saw him talk in the conversation, he was on Bill Maher not too long ago. He was fucking embarrassing. Like, I'm like, are you serious? He's Harvard educated. And you should have I see all those goddamn books on your Evil Empire album, dude. Like, drop some knowledge here, frame of perspective. And he just gets on Bill Maher. He's just like, yeah, we just gotta do anything but this. Like he came off as like that dumb hippie that like has nothing really constructive to say.
Okay.
And he's just like, and he talked about because he worked for a political campaign. He talked about that for a little bit, and just like, and this woman was asking racist stuff. I refused to do the campaign. I hated how the sausage was made. Like, it was such like basic shit. I'm like, you're fucking Tom Morello, dude. What the hell?
Yeah,
what is this?
We need something more.
You're on a political show. Lay down some shit, like when Ben Affleck comes on there more prepared than you are.
Right. Yeah, that's not good.
It was super, super depressing as like a fan.
Yeah, he's a great guitarist, but I don't really give a shit what he has to say.
Yeah.
I'll listen to Zach. I think Zach's very
especially after Audio Slave, you can really see like Zach was the heart and soul of that band. Like he is Rage Against the Machine.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And his political message, if I agree with it or not, I agree with it.
He says it well.
He does. He does.
And how would you rate him as a rapper? I always because I think he's very overlooked because of his music.
That one day remember that One Day Is a Lion shit that came out?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was 10 years ago.
Was it that old already?
Yeah, damn. It was Zach, and then he was playing like a crazy rusty analog keyboard, and it was the first drummer from Dillinger Escape Plan. I can't remember his name right now.
Wow, that's intense. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called One Day Is a Lion, and the saying is from a graffiti artist in New York, like one of the first, and the saying was, "It's better to live one day as a lion than 1,000 years as a lamb."
Right.
And that's where they got the name for the group.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's badass. And his MC skills are great. He's great. I think his voice too. With a lot of hip hop, people will like a rapper or not like a rapper because of their voice.
Sure,
and it makes a big difference. I mean,
and I can see that's a good point. I can see he's overlooked a lot because of his kind of voice, maybe.
But overlooked. But what I'm getting at is, when it's Zach.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
He's got that nasally thing, and then. What was his first group's name? That hardcore band that he was in.
Oh, that's right.
Was it Cross Out?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was Crossed Out. Everybody needs to go back and revisit that because that's some good, awesome old school hardcore.
Absolutely.
And he's screaming, and
he's a
very
good screamer.
political. I think they were a straight edge hardcore punk band.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that because I know he smokes, so I didn't know he was.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'll look it up real quick just to cross reference.
I mean, but to be fair, like Minor Threat, plenty of those guys still drink and stuff like that. Ian Mackay stayed straight edge his whole life, from what I understand.
Has he been?
Yeah.
Remember they covered, what did they cover by them?
In My Eyes. Fantastic song.
God, it's a great song.
Yeah.
I'm wearing that. I'm wearing my hat right now, my Minor Threat hat.
Oh, how did I not notice that?
It just says out of step. It
right.
just says out of step, dude.
Duh, that
Minor
fucking
Threat.
Black Sheep. Yeah.
God, they're so.
Oh, that's my jam, dude. That's my jam.
They're just an amazing band.
There's just something, I mean, and you can't, there's no variable you can point to, but like, this is what makes them amazing. There's just something about the put
energy.
together. Yeah, motherfucker, you took my word. I was going to say the energy. No, that's great. The energy of Minor Threat, it just has that energy. And you're just like, man, this, But I mean, Minor Threat, talk about blunt lyrics. They had some good blunt lyrics. But anyway, back to Zach really quick, because like my one friend, he's really into rap. He's really knowledgeable.
Inside Out, just to correct, I think I said crossed out.
Yeah, it's a cross out. It's Inside Out.
It's Inside Out.
All right.
So I was close, nerds. I was close. But everybody go back to that Inside Out.
Yeah, I can't wait to go check it out again. It's been a while since I've heard it.
Yeah, the No Spiritual Surrender. They're from Orange County. They were a band from 88 to 91.
Damn.
Yeah, Zach. That's Zach's first group. So it's on Spotify. It's on everything. It's hardcore.
And because I was gonna say, my one friend, he's really into raps, and I've been meaning to ask him. I can go right to you because you're probably just as knowledgeable about rap. Of like, because he'll say like with rap, you want to have that specific recognizable tone. And Zach has that. You know, you gotta have original flows, just good lyrics, and he's like, and you gotta have like a commentary on society and like something that's perspective. Something offer a good perspective, offer. Say something big, if you will. And I mean, and who did that more than fucking Zach De La Rocha? Right. Like, motherfucker went big all the time. All the time. The only song I
never had to figure out his message.
No.
It was in black and white.
Pretty black and white, yeah. And the only song I can think of that was even kind of a little more personal, is that Revolver song.
Yeah, Revolver was tight.
Yeah, and and if you don't want like, well, can you just talk about something that's not political? That's like one of the few not really political songs about a woman living with an abusive boxer husband.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Pass the purse to the pugilist. Yes.
Okay. There was a time in my life where like Renegades of Funk, like when that shit came out. So we were probably like late high school.
Sure.
I wasn't into Rage because I wasn't into politics in my music.
Oh, interesting.
Like, period. Like, he annoyed me, and I was just done after a while.
Sure.
Because I loved the first album. I loved Evil Empire.
Right.
And then it was...
Battle Los Angeles is pretty weak.
Battle Los... Yeah, that's when that came out. That came out like 99, 2000. It's all right, but like, I had some Rage fans like putting that down my throat, like just pushing it, and it wasn't bad. But I was like just more into like really like artsy, fartsy, abstract stuff like Tool and Deftones and like White Pony came out then. Like that's
it's so much more interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just into some like interesting shit, but not to take anything away from them, but very good political band. Let's move on to System of a Down.
Speaking of System of a Down,
let's go to System.
And now we're really in my territory. I can definitely hold my own with you with System of a Down. Like I said, I think I texted you like that first album is burnt into my brain. I know every second of it. You can give me any song title, I'll tell you any of the
Brave
lyrics.
thinkers are dangerous.
Free thinkers are dangerous.
Free thinkers. Thank you. See, there we go.
See,
there we go.
Oh, this is my shit. I really love the song Qbert. It's really, really good. Pre-fight D-Light, D-Face Street Lights, A Pyramid Mindfuck, Don't Leave Your Seats Now.
What's the song We Come to Fight the Heathens?
Yeah, a War with a question mark.
Okay.
That was the first song that like really got me into them.
That's crazy that you say that. I remember my senior year of high school, we had to come in. It was it my econ class? No, it was my government class.
Sure.
It was my government class. So teacher wanted us to bring in a political song that meant something and then to break it down, and I brought in War.
Nice. That'll do it. That'll
do it. And she was just kind of like,
whoa,
damn! Like, because this is talking about a lot of Middle Eastern struggles,
right? Well, the Crusades and how the Crusades are coming around again.
Exactly,
absolutely. Miss calling our bright darkness to police after the bullets of the wicked. Yes,
yeah, yes. Dude. Like, she was blown away. A lot of people didn't know, and then a few years after they really blew up. But I remember bringing that in, and people were just
like, okay,
like freaked out. But I love that album because System and the Deftones. But more System, like, they had to grow on me because of the vocals.
Deftones had to grow on you at one point.
Yeah, for a second.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I figured it was instant love at first sight.
No, it took a second because I was like so into Korn and like the breakdowns and the chug-a-lug bullshit, so to hear like Chino do what he did and the different types of chords that Steph was playing, I was like, but then I got it. But With System, I didn't know what to do.
Right. It took me a while too, actually.
Because of the vocals and, and the musical arrangement, you know, it's crazy.
That's why War gets you hooked, because that's the only really catchy song on there. We gotta kill the heathens, we gotta kill the heathens for you to meet a living. Yeah. Whoa, shit! I just mixed that with Prison Song.
Yeah, but they kind of do that.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems.
We will fight the heathens. We will fight the heathens. Yeah. So yeah, that song. Yeah, like I said, it's the only real catchy song. Speaking of dark lyrics, though, the end of Sugar, holy shit.
Sugar is still, that's a really good album, front to finish, to lift weights to. We would put that on back in the day, like when it came out, like 99, 2000. And, you know, we were all working out, like my buddies and I, like in sports and shit, we put that shit on. We get down.
Oh, for sure, dude. That album's, although it had to be pretty weird to listen to Suggestions.
Yeah.
Working out. That weird ass song.
Right. Spiders, you know.
Oh, Spiders is beautiful. That's just a beautiful song.
But what's the first track again?
Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea. I got a gun the other day from Sacco. It's cute. It's small. Fits right
sugar.
in my pocket. That's sugar. My bad. Right in my pocket.
Yeah, right in my pocket. And it's got that jazz little cymbal work on there. Yeah. But then it has this crazy breakdown at the end where you're pretty much, I'm guessing, Serge put the lyrics a breakdown he had with drugs or something like that, where I'm sure he did acid a bunch and was just locked in this room, and he was like, I sit in my desert room, no light, no music, just anger. And he just
everyone.
Kill forever. But I'm feeling better. Just wow, just such a manic state.
It is a manic, man. That's definitely a Rick Rubin thing. He
I love Rick.
Discovered them and he put them on a pedestal. Those are those bands. There was a few episodes ago, I think it's when I was on my pedestal talking shit about Childish Gambino to a certain extent for not owning his message, but relating it to the fact hey, I grew up with these bands and these particular artists that own their message.
Sure.
And right now, more than ever, we need bands like Rage Against the Machine and System of a Down.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's all I got to say. We need them. Get your ego out of your, or whatever, and stop rooting for the Cubs, Tom Morello. What's the guitarist name for System? Because
Darren Malankian.
Malankian, in my opinion, he's the ego problem with the group.
Yeah,
you know, because he wanted to sing on everything forever.
We don't.
All right, we won't go there.
After Toxicity, when they came out with Hypnotize, Mesmerize, that was the most disappointed I've ever been in my life.
And he had a cool voice, but it's hey, dude, just play guitar. Just
kind of sound like Elmo on crack.
Yeah, just
he was great for the little chime-ins for Toxicity and stuff like that. But his guitar work is really creative.
But back to some of the political stuff.
Sure.
What are some of your favorite tracks, and why is it important to you?
I think "Prison Song" was one of the best written political songs. Of you want a clear message, you want facts, you don't want to beat around the bush, and I think that song really says it all while keeping it pretty catchy. You could argue with maybe the song part of it. I could see not being as appealing. I think it fucking works, but just minor drug offenders, fill your prisons, you don't even flinch. All your taxes paying for your wars against the new, not rich. And then
super catchy, super rhymey, but that's my favorite song by them.
Oh, really? When he comes down,
song?
So I'm preaching to the choir here. Awesome.
That's one of the first records. We were talking vinyl earlier. That was one of the first.
I loved it. I've never heard it on vinyl. That sounds really fun.
It's all tore up because
oh no,
I was trying to be a DJ or something at the time. I was trying to be a DJ, and this dude gave me 2 free turntables and a mixer.
Right.
Ugh, that thing's beat up. That record's beat up. But that was one of the first I bought. Deftones self-titled, and that's Toxicity, right?
Toxicity, yeah.
At Hot Topic.
Yeah, Prison Song, and then when they hit that fucking groove at the end for the breakdown, and he's like, all research and successful drug policy shows that treatment should be increased and law enforcement decreased while abolishing mandatory minimum sentences. And you can't even say that's biased. That fucking makes sense. You know what I mean?
Man, you remember all those lyrics.
Oh no, I'm a system head for sure. No, I'm down on some system shit. Another overlooked political song on that was Deer Dance. Do you remember that song? And that comes off a little weird, but that's actually based on a true event. I don't know if you're familiar with this. That happened in Arizona, I believe, or New Mexico. I don't think it was California, but it was a desert meeting of the Native American tribes, and they were doing a deer dance for peace. hence the name. They say that in the song. And so a bunch of these cops came out, and in this series, apparently this is documented. This happened. A little boy came up to the cop, like they're all like ready to face off and square off, like the Native Americans and these riot police. And then a little boy came up and smiled, like the song says, and the cops just went away, and everybody like walked away peacefully.
That's powerful.
Yeah, pushing little children with their fully automatics.
That's my track too.
Yeah,
that's what
like
that song's about.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah,
because that breakdown, like pushing
with the fully automatics, they like to push the weak around. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard for like a pretty like to have like sweet singing in it too. Like Surge is the man, dude. And in fact, and that can transition. That was my favorite song when the album first came out. Actually, but I love Jet Pilot now though too. That's one of my favorite. That's a banger. Along with X. Those were really fun to see live. And speaking of 2001, when you're talking about Rage Against the Machine, if you remember, Pledge Allegiance was supposed to come out, and then September 11th, or no, Toxicity had come out.
It did.
And but they were supposed to start the tour, and then 9/11 happened.
Right.
So it was like a 3-month delay. So we ended up seeing in November because they were starting the tour in Chicago Allstate Arena, right?
Really?
And then you got to imagine, to explain my dumb ass, like, System, like, first album was already like one of my favorite things ever, right? And then Toxicity came out, and they're like the fucking biggest band now.
Ever.
Like, and people were like, okay, like people are getting onto why, like, so yeah. So I know those albums backwards and forwards. Toxicity is not. I mean, it's a pretty catchy album, especially compared to the first one. So it's pretty easy to memorize, in my opinion.
It's an amazing, all their shit's
right. But to me, I own the like first album. Like I said, burnt in my brain. It's a very complicated album for what they're doing.
Yeah,
first album.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So anyway, Pledge Allegiance tour. I'm going with my cousin and all his friends, and they have floor seats though. And my cousin and I are stuck in the balcony. All right, and Rammstein was there, and Rammstein was cool. That was a fun.
I was at this show, but go ahead.
Yeah, you're probably at that show. Yeah.
So. I'm just thinking. But,
yeah. So, and I'm up in the balcony, missing out. And my favorite band ever comes up at this point. And do you remember they came out like it was everything I could want? They came out to fucking a clip from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where the one guy in the crazy meetings like going on, he's like, he has this range. It's like, I'm talking about the God, I'm talking about the devil, I'm talking about, and that's like how they start to show. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. And they have a giant screen with videos going to each one of their songs. And they did Cocaine Crazy, Psycho.
That song, yeah.
Psycho Groupie, Cocaine Crazy, Psycho Groupie, Coke. And it has like a girl like blow, like it's doing this crazy spinning camera work and a girl like blowing cocaine out of her hands. Right? And they did X.
I wasn't at this show.
Okay, yeah. You're like, I would have remembered that.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was losing my fucking mind. Keeping my mentality, and they did Aerials, and then they did X, that probably the fastest song on Toxicity,
Yeah.
We don't need to multiply, we don't need to multiply. No,
very thrashy.
It's very flashy, and they have an ant farm. A giant ant farm on the video screen that's moving with the music. Like the ants are going at the pace. And I'm like, this is awesome, right? And then they play Deer Dance, and like, this is my favorite song. I'm going to lose my shit. And I did. I'm like going crazy up in the balcony. So I actually ended up going over the balcony.
Damn.
and holding onto the rails. Like I have my feet on the balcony and I'm just like headbanging into it because I'm a total idiot. And sure enough, security is like, wait, who's that kid? And they point up at me and I'm like, shit. And I get back on the balcony and I had like
Brett too short.
Unfortunately, I'm not short, so I was easy to point out in the crowd. And I had a Green Lantern shirt on for some reason, and I
makes sense,
I guess. And I take it off, trying to like hide my
Brett. Take it off,
trying to hide my, which is hilarious because my skinny pale, I'm sure my pale skin is just glowing, and they can spot me from a mile away. And sure enough, they catch me and they got to kick me out of the show. And so I didn't even get to see Slipknot, and it was just, and I missed half the System show. And
way to go, Brett.
Yeah, so I had to wait out. I had to listen to the show out in the parking lot.
I remember I read something. I'm a big Wu-Tang guy.
Because that's the best
show. The RZA, remember, like the RZA had like a song with them. Remember, they did Shame. They did Shame.
Yeah,
with Rage. Well, I'm kind of going all over the place.
Sure, yeah, that's a lot of.
And they did Shame with System. And
right.
I remember it was an article in Playboy like back in the day, back when System was really blowing up, the RZA said that the best, they're like, what's the best live act you ever seen before? Like, what is it? And he's like, it's System of a Down.
Damn. Yeah, I heard
And that's from the RZA, you know, like
right. I heard yeah, because like when they were in LA and they were already getting really big in LA and like they just had lines out to the clubs, like I've heard those shows were insane. Like they have recorded tapes of those shows, like those got really passed around, like even before they even signed or recorded an album, like their tapes of their shows were getting passed around like like a virus.
Here's another weird random fact. The first time I ever got to see System of a Down was at Ozfest 99.
Okay.
They were taking pictures, and the first System of a Down poster, you know, they were taking pictures at that Ozfest, and my friend Mike Paris and I are in the crowd.
Oh.
In the System poster, and I still have that poster.
Oh, fucking A.
Yeah,
you gotta show
awesome.
me that shit. That's
I will
badass.
You could see like
As a System head, you got me jealous.
You could see the top of like my eyebrow. And that's it. And you can kind of see more of his face.
Sure.
Rest in power to Mike. That's my best friend. He passed away. But at any rate, yeah, man, I got to see him then. And I think I saw him like 2 more times after that. But as far as the live band goes,
see, because unfortunately I didn't see them before the toxicity broke, and obviously you weren't gonna see them, especially because I tried to go to that Metro show, but that was fucking hopeless. Like I remember a friend and I drive out there. We got there kind of early, but there was already just like a mile line, people sleeping on fucking benches and shit like that, because that would have been an amazing show, the Metro show.
Yeah, I saw Deftones at the Metro. It was the best show I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, exactly. So I
It's
can
the
imagine.
Metro.
Of course, yeah. That's
Could you
like
imagine
that's probably my
System?
favorite venue. Like because like you don't necessarily have to see him in a huddled like bar or whatever, but like I think that's like the best place to see like a big band.
It is the biggest band at that particular time in a smaller, great sounding place. The Metro is the place.
Absolutely.
And every time I go there, I'm always like, it's this small?
Right.
I always forget how small the Metro is. And we're talking Chicago people.
Right.
If you want to go see
a
show and your most beloved band ever, go to the Metro.
Dude, Violent Femmes at the Metro. Have you seen that fucking footage?
No. Oh, yeah. I know. I got my homie Mark Getzinger. Shout out to him. He's a Violent Femmes guy.
Nice.
And he was at all those shows.
Nice. Whoa.
Said it was the best show he's ever been to.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I don't really want to quote him and not know, but I know
it can't be. I mean, if he's that big of a Violent Femmes guy and you get to see him at the Metro, like how do you top that?
Yeah, how do you top that?
Right.
So shout out to the Femmes.
System probably would have been my favorite show ever if I saw them at the Metro.
Right.
I mean, that probably would have been my top 5 Pledge Allegiance tour if I didn't get kicked out.
Shout out to Juice Pro Wrestling though, not to get off subject. He stayed the night on the bench to get the Deftones tickets.
That's
at
right.
The Metro.
You're forever loyal to that man.
Forever loyal. And actually
What a
today,
friend.
my dad, like we had our ticket stubs together for whatever reason, and they were lost. But this morning he found them, and he's like, "Here they are."
It's like you summoned them all
yeah,
the time.
he summoned them. I'm like, cool. I'm like just looking through, and I made sure I found that, and it was like Deftones Metro 2003, like May.
Was the opening man good? Did they have anybody?
No,
It was just them.
it's just them.
Oh, that's intense.
It was right after White Pony and It was before Self-Titled came out, or like right after it came out.
Yeah, if you can't tell, Joe and I are both 35.
We're not trying to date ourselves. But you know,
Getting excited about this current music, and I'm usually not a current
I'm a current guy. I'm a current head, but you know what? I will never apologize for the genres or like that time frame that we grew up in, because it was a great time.
I apologize for new metal.
I don't.
No, there's some great bands there, like as the ones we're talking about, but like, man, Limp Bizkit's rough.
Yeah. I like their first album. I don't revisit
Counterfeit.
Yeah. First 2 Korn albums I'll go back to randomly, but
I can't even do that anymore.
No?
No. I know them. I got them in the head.
Right.
I'll get to that. We don't need to talk about that. We'll
don't.
talk about this some other time.
Right.
I'd love to have a Korn discussion, though.
What about another political?
Well, you got the Bob Dylan. He obviously crushed it but people forget he ripped off Woody Guthrie. Woody Guthrie was big, and Bob Dylan actually ripped off Woody Guthrie in a lot of sea shanty songs, which is kind of interesting. But to his credit, though, and we have to give him some credit. I have a cool story about my professor. Saw his first Chicago show. His first time in Chicago, he opened for somebody, right? And he gets out there and he's like homeless looking and shit like that. And so he has a field of people laughing at him, not booing. They're like laughing at him, right? And he gets up there and just plays his little acoustic guitar, and he's like the words just start melting them. And it's the more and more and more, and all of a sudden, like he's getting a standing ovation. Like everybody's just silent and just immersed in the ball. I mean, nobody knows who he is at this point. So man, that's gonna be fucking amazing,
Right?
Just like this author I love, Tom Robbins. He got to see the Doors. Could you imagine seeing the Doors in like 66 to 68? I'm not a big Doors guy, but I'm sure like seeing them for the first time and like not knowing who they were would have been fucking intense.
Yeah, I'm a huge Doors guy.
Right. So you could imagine. Listen to
that'd
Tom. Look up Tom Robbins' article about the Doors. It's intense.
Any other political?
Right. Any political guys we got here? Because we should look this up because I know Bob Dylan has that really great song about like war and the bombs and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember what my professor, that same professor I was talking about, he'd be shaming me right now. I can't remember the name of the damn song.
Okay,
but you know what I'm talking about. It's a really long song too.
Yeah, Bob Dylan's like one of the greatest songwriters of all time, right? I mean,
I was going to mention that to Srenton. He'll hear this at least.
I talk shit on the first episode, but I don't mean it. I mean, I respect it, but I don't revisit what he has to say.
Right.
Like I'm not a very big folk guy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like, why should my opinion really matter?
Right.
On it, but like I know what he has to say, and I know what he's contributed like throughout the years, and I totally respect him. But
of course,
I don't bump Bob Dylan ever. And you know what? A lot of that has to do too, like with the household that you were raised in. Like my parents didn't bump the Beatles or Bob Dylan. Like this wasn't happening.
Same here.
They're listening to Sabbath and they're listening to Zeppelin, and my mom was listening to all Motown. Like that's the background I come from.
Yep.
You know, so. They really weren't into that folky shit. That's all I gotta say.
Which is what you get. That's why I'm more into folk.
Right.
I mean, I had my suspended times with folk. You know, where I was like, I don't want to listen to this anymore. But like, that was one of my first musical memories. Was my dad played the folk '60s tape with over and over. And I still have most of those songs memorized. Like Brothers 4, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Who else?
You poor thing.
Fuck you, Brothers 4. Greenfields is an amazing song. I will fight you. I'll fight anybody.
You want to fight to that song?
No. I am not going to be a productive fighter if I try to fight this song.
Here's the new MMA fight, and they are fighting too.
Brothers 4, Greenfields. Once there were green fields,
dude, we gotta do that.
Kissed by the sun. That'd be a really hard song to fight to. I mean, I will fight somebody over that song if they want to talk shit about it.
I will fight you to that song.
God damn it, Joe. But no, that reminds me. Back to political songs here. I was going to mention this earlier. Opposite of Prison Song, which is a very direct.
Back to System of a Down.
Well, not back to System of a Down. I was going to say to contrast that.
Okay.
I was going to mention Sam Cooke wrote the amazing song "Change Is Gonna Come" or "Change Gonna Come," which doesn't have any specific political thing about it. It's just kind of like dealing with that struggle of like, you know, being born as this black man, and then like, and just waiting for that change to come. And that's really the only like political lyric, but it was really picked up by the black movement at the time. Yeah. I mean, the fucking song was played at Malcolm X's funeral. Right. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that. That's a great tidbit. Yeah. Like when you write something like that, he wasn't writing it sounds like to make it a political statement, but it just turned into that. That's really powerful.
Yeah. I think it was more of not necessarily like he was pumping any sort of political message out, but more like his feelings of living in that political climate of the time.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just like, just wait, change is going to come, hopefully. And it really shows a vulnerability. And he's like, one of my favorite lines ever. I know the second part. I can't remember. I can never remember like the beginning of lyrics for some reason.
That song had a huge impact on me when I was younger, and I'm glad that you brought
Interesting.
up.
Please.
I'm glad that you brought up the fact of Malcolm X because that was played during the funeral of the Malcolm X movie that was directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, so there's some Spike Lee sticking the fucking history.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever watch that movie?
It's been a long time. Okay. I need to watch it again.
I love that movie.
I need to see it. Yeah,
it's great, but that was being played. I mean, the nerds can correct us.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm guessing that was played at his funeral.
I mean, not. It didn't actually happen, but during the movie, I remember that song going on, and that Malcolm X movie had a huge impact on me when I was younger.
Yeah, not just you, plenty of fucking people. That song was so huge. I remember my cousin wearing like the Malcolm X hat.
Right.
Pretty bold for a white boy.
Right. Yeah, he was. I can identify more with the Malcolm X type of character.
Oh, of course.
More so than
Martin Luther King.
Yeah. I like revolutionaries.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
and
that own their ground. Like we were talking earlier, like we're talking political lyrics right now, like own your shit. Like,
right.
Not saying that MLK didn't own his shit, but he was.
He did some cool shit too.
Yeah, but he was more peaceful and like a humble human being.
Right. He was trying to work with the authorities.
Right.
Basically.
Malcolm. Nah,
we gotta like stake our ground here, and we gotta get what we get because we're gonna take it away. And he's kind of right.
Yeah, exactly. I identify more. With
It hasn't been good for black people since it got better, obviously, but it's getting worse, sadly. Not to get. And speaking of, but I have to read this line because like it would give me like just goosebumps. Especially I have to blasphemy. Recommend the Otis Redding version over Sam Cooke's though, because he like hits that, because nobody can do vulnerability like Otis, right? And especially for this line, it's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, which that shows us a trapped soul right there. Like, this fucking life sucks, but I'm afraid to die because I don't know what's there beyond the sky. And it's been a long time. Change is gonna come.
Yeah, it's a very powerful song. Whew. Very powerful. I like how you feel it right now. I can tell you feel it by looking in your eyes. And I will transition into something that I feel I didn't feel this when I was younger, but I feel it more now in knowing my particular heritage on both sides of the spectrum of being Irish and English.
Nice.
And I'm going to get into Morrissey. And the album by the Smiths, The Queen is Dead, was supposed to be entitled Margaret on the Guillotine.
Ooh.
But they're like, that's a little bit just, up front. Mr. Stephen Morrissy and Johnny Marr and the
Well, you better get used to it, because he's not going to go in the back anytime soon. He's going to stay right up front.
Right.
Morrissey.
Morrissey don't give a shit. That's what I love about him. So that's
especially now. Whoa, he's getting crazy. But go ahead.
You know what? I think Morrissey, to a certain extent, I feel like he's a shock jock. He says shit like he'll just make a statement just to be relevant.
Okay, fair enough.
What I love about him is he'll say what he wants to say.
Right.
And I love that.
Right.
He doesn't give a shit about the PC.
No hesitation.
None. And I love him for that. I respect him for that.
That's why Fedor is my favorite fighter, because no hesitation.
Right.
One of my favorite fighters.
No hesitation. Now, it's not like I'm trying to defend the dude, but it's like to really
leave him alone. He's a beautiful man.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man, but like I just think he's a shock jock. He's just saying shit to stay relevant. I really think at the end of the day, that's all it's about. That's all it's about. But backtracking to 1986 was Margaret on the Guillotine.
Yeah.
That's what the album was supposed to be entitled.
Right.
Maybe he's not. Like, maybe he was that much ahead of his time. I mean, he was the first pop icon to really preach animal love and anti-animal cruelty with, the Smiths back in the day.
And he's not
Meat is murder, like
right. And
nobody did that.
And just so we're clear, because it took me a while to figure out, but he's talking about Margaret Thatcher, right?
Margaret Thatcher, yes.
Yeah. Not a big fan. England's not a big fan of her.
Right.
She did a lot of bad stuff.
England isn't, and neither is Ireland. And Morrissey is a first generation Irish born into England. So he had his parents were both from Ireland.
Yeah.
And they moved to Manchester, and here comes out Morrissey. But to put a focus on lyrics that mean something to me, it is Margaret on the Guillotine. Now, this is on awesome. Morrissey's first self-titled.
I need to look up that song.
Yeah, it's on his first self-titled album. And it's very chill, and it's just kind of eerie and cryptic, but I'll get into the lyrics right quick.
Do.
All right.
Give me some samples.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
The kind of people have a wonderful dream, Margaret on the Guillotine, because people like you make me feel so tired. When will you die? 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 Question marks. And people like you make me feel so old inside. Please die. And kind people do.
That's the whole song?
That's the song.
That's wow. That's all right, Morrissey.
All right, Morrissey. So he's not pulling back.
That's the bluntness we were talking about.
Talking about being blunt. And he's the man.
I don't see any cheese there either,
No
especially with Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, and for him to do that at that particular time is so ahead of its he's ahead of his time.
Move over Sinead O'Connor. He did it first.
Yeah.
We gotta give Sinead some fucking props for that shit though. That was intense. Speaking of
like ripping up the Pope shit. Yeah, I mean, that
talk
was
about ahead of your time.
Television.
If she did that 10 years later, she'd have been fine, but that ruined her career.
I agree.
And that song she did, speaking of political songs, that's a really good song she did, the War song. It was just called War, I believe. That's really intense, her singing that. And that was overlooked by her political message or whatever. But it's a really amazing performance.
I remember that when I was a child. It pissed me off because I was going to church. You know? I mean, I still go to church. I try to.
No. Oh, nice. Look at you, Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a good old boy.
I'm a good old boy. I'm a good old Catholic boy. But, you know, like, that was very risque.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, to say the least.
You know, to rip up a picture of the Pope.
Sure.
But, like you said, Morrissey did it way before. And he was trying to make this the title for the Smiths, The Queen is Dead. Margaret on the Guillotine. But they're like, nah, it's too risky. So after the Smiths broke up, he just made this the closing song to his first solo album, self-titled
I've
shit.
broken my chains. Right. I'm ready to sing it.
That's why he's so ruthless. But Margaret...
That's pretty great. More respect for Morrissey. For sure.
More respect for Morrissey. She, Margaret, I don't know. I don't want to get too political, but she never helped out the Irish cause, especially the Irish Catholic cause.
Oh, yeah. She was basically the Reagan of her time.
Yeah.
She was the Reagan over there in England.
Extremely conservative. You know, the Irish hunger strikers, Bobby Sands, rest in power, all of them. You know, and like I said, Morrissey's like first generation Irish in England. Like for him to be such a pop icon at the time to do that on his first solo record.
Yeah, that's pretty intense.
So punk rock. And it's not punk rock because when you listen to this song,
like, it's the opposite of punk rock, it sounds. But
yeah, I mean, it's very slow ballad. There's not even a beat to this,
which makes it more intense.
It does.
Like if you were just yelling it like in some punk band.
Yeah.
To like no, I'm doing this all sincerity and all.
Let me go back to that one line. Make me feel so tired. When will you die? When will you die? When will you die? When will you die? And people like you make me feel so old inside. Please die.
I hope he didn't feel that way. Good thing he didn't live during Churchill because that motherfucker lived forever.
So yeah, Morrissey, he says some weird shit. He says some off the wall shit. I don't want to call him alt-right, but
no, not back then he wasn't, but he's getting that way now apparently. But like you say, he's probably just shocking it up. He sees where
he's a shock jock.
He's seen where you get the attention.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, I don't know what his political views are. I mean, he says what he has to say.
He probably doesn't even know.
I don't even think he cares. I just think he likes.
I just want to sing
the publicity.
Songs.
Exactly. You know, he's under that impression there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's where Morrissey's at with it.
Fair enough. I'm sure he lived up to that gratefully.
He says some weird shit, some off-colored shit for sure, but, you know.
So, speaking of the jolly old Englanders, we'll get back to our boys, Radiohead.
Okay, let's do that. Great transition.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't realize, like, apparently I had to remind you that they have a political song on OK Computer.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, called Electioneering. And I like, don't get me wrong, I like their more spacey, turbulent stuff, but I do like it when Radiohead gets direct as well. And this is one of those great songs. Like you could tell Tom York, he's not going to have too many political songs, but he wants to be able to encapsulate everything. And I think that's what he does with Electioneering. It has a great chorus of I'll go forward, you go backwards, and somewhere we'll meet. Just basically that's what the power says to us. Like, yeah, we'll work with you, but we're going to go forward, and you guys are just going to,
follow the role.
Go backwards. And and then, but he has a great line in there. It's just business, cattle prod, and the IMF. Which the IMF, yeah, and he's like cattle prod, and he like says it with some anger too. And if you don't know, IMF stands for International Monetary Fund, and that's a political outfit, a money place that's been used to basically push other countries around economically, get them hooked on loans, and then just drive them into debt, and that way you can have your way with each country. Like they're bad mojo out there. You know?
Yeah, Tom's always owned his message too.
Sure.
Remember his solo shit, Black Swan? Like he had a lot of stuff going on behind that.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
that was like 10 years ago. Like
I'm familiar with what's the Atoms for Peace.
Yeah, Atoms for Peace. Yeah.
I know that, but I haven't checked out Black Swan actually. Sadly.
That Black Swan shit's awesome.
Okay,
that's the solo stuff, but I believe a lot of those proceeds went to a certain whatever cause he believed in at the time.
Nice.
What was the Atoms for Peace? Who was that with?
That might just be a solo electronic thing. Like I think he did the electronics for because it's an electronic thing. I think it's just him.
And here's a weird, random, just out there thing. If Tom York mixes your track, if you're a hip hop artist, you know you're a badass, and that's why MF Doom is the best rapper alive right now.
Yeah,
Random
MF
statement, but MF Doom is my guy forever.
Sure. Well, if you want to talk lyrics, there's your dude. And like,
there you go.
Yeah, those are some lyrics.
Those are some lyrics for days. And
yeah, Mad Villainy, you can't go wrong.
in 2018, he's
I need to get more into his discography. I'm a bad person.
He's doing a lot this year. He came out with Czarface.
People have been like starving for it. I know.
Yeah, he came out with Czarface, which is Inspect the Deck and Esoteric.
Oh shit, that sounds
good
awesome.
shit.
Inspect
like,
the Deck, one of the coolest MC names of all time, by the way. Inspect the Deck, that's so
from
good.
Wu-Tang.
Of course.
And then DJ Muggs just released some shit. Remember from Cyprus? And it's MF Doom and Freddie Gibbs here from Gary, Indiana. Shout out. And then it's MF Doom and Cool G Rap, like one of the most iconic fucking gangster rap hip hop dudes from New York. Like that whole conscious like mafioso rap style. Like Ghostface or Raekwon couldn't exist if it wasn't for Cool G Rap. So yeah, MF Doom's doing things, but what I'm getting at is if Tom York's remixing some of your songs, you know you're a badass rapper. And same goes for MF Doom fucking with Tom York. Like, that's just some good shit. So everybody needs to check out that track. I don't remember.
Oh, I can't wait to. I'm going to do it pronto. Thank you. And thank you for your appearance, Joe Carlin from Rap Hardcore History.
Yeah, man, I love my hip hop, but MF Doom is the guy. Like you said, like lyricist.
Yeah.
Like a lyricist, like
and especially his delivery is talk about unique.
Unique, yeah,
sure. It's on eighths, right? Every eighth beat, he switches.
Yeah, it is an eighth beat.
Yep,
it is an eighth beat. Good call, Brett.
No, it's from a YouTube. I ripped it off from somebody. It was conjecture.
It's all good.
Anthony Fantano, he knows this himself.
He knows himself a lot of everything.
Yeah,
he's a huge influence on me, like doing this podcast, everything, everyone. Like, thank you, Fantano.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I picked up so many awesome artists from him.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the fact that he like used his love for music to have his own platform to present what he likes to people,
and he's sticking to it too.
I mean, like I really, I respect the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like. He gets.
Well, that's why you need to come on our podcast, because we have our own faux Fantano.
Yeah, we do.
John
we
Metcalf.
Do Fantano. We'll call this episode "Calling Out Anthony Fantano."
He's something.
He is definitely something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's just like a machine. But yeah, I love Fantano.
But no, MF Doom. He goes on about that. You want to transition to that Neutral Milk Hotel band I was talking about, or do you want to transition? Did you listen to it?
Yes. Let's go into that.
Oh shit. Okay.
Let's go into that.
I didn't like your look on your face, though. I'm scared.
No, I just want to see how you have to present it.
Transition.
Transition.
Friends would go against me if I didn't talk about the wonderful lyrics of Neutral Milk Hotel, which it comes off like let me see. First off, it's very simple in structure. Nothing too fancy here. It's just a bunch of rhyming couplets for the most part. But this is where his artistry shines in the color and the cadence and the words that he uses. But he just has some of these lyrics, man. And it's surrealist lyrics, which is pretty cool. But it doesn't get too out there. I mean, it does at some points. He's got some strange noun choices. And you want me to talk about how like I got into Neutral Milk Hotel?
Yeah.
So it's a
history.
I found out about them through my buddy Jeff Hine. Shout out to Jeff over in Maryland. Wish you could come home, homie.
Maryland buddies.
And he's like, yeah, you should really check these guys out. They're really well known in like the big underground music circles or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll check them out. And never got around to it. And then he finally like showed me. He's like, here's their song, which the first song is not ear catcher per se, but like it's a great opening track for the album. King of Carrot Flowers Part 1, then it goes into Part 2. But if you're interested, just listen to the title track song, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, which is the name of the album. And I wish you would have shown me that, but old Jeff, he just shows me the first song, and he's like, and this second song is the reason why a lot of people don't get through the album. Because a lot of the song, most of the second song is him singing over and over again, He Loves Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Which you can imagine that doesn't really
transfer well
into the art hipster world. And to explain that further, the reason why he has that, because he's not like a Christian per se, but he grew up in this like Christian camp. It was like a Christian hippie camp, and he was a very introverted child, and he was super, super shy. and they had these like weird prayer circles where they just tell each other that they loved each other and they would hug, and he said they put me in these environments where I could say what I wanted to say and not be judged. And that really helped in his development. So he's always going to love Jesus Christ for that. And
Cool.
So however, and then you get, but then it goes in the third title track, which is the best place to start with them. It's like, it's their most, like, there's a lot of neat instrumentation going on. A lot of, it's got, you get a good sense of their colorful psychedelic flavor with a lot of fuzz pedal. And the lyrics are pretty, like, it's hard to describe the lyrics of In the Aeroplane Over the Sea, the song, because
I know the record. I'm looking at it right now. I know that record cover.
Yeah.
I know
You see it at record stores for sure. And
was this 90s? This is 90s.
98, which is going to say, which is insane because you listen to them now.
Before their time with indie folk rock.
Yeah, indie folk rock, which is like, this is a band, every band dime a dozen, their sound, but like, this is 20 years ago. And so with this song, what's really, really, it's very dreamlike. So you can listen, I guess that's a good starter song for Neutral Milk Hotel because you can listen to it surface level. You don't have to get too deep in the ideas, but there's plenty of big ideas for you to get into. And it really exposes what the purpose of the album is for, which is it's sort of a love letter to Anne Frank, because he was really into this book. He was reading this book every day, and he would have dreams about her. And he felt like that they were kindred spirits, that they were almost soulmates, if you will. I don't know if he would say the word soulmate, but he definitely he felt he knew her and loved her, and they would both understand each other thoroughly. So a lot of this album is him having dreams about her, going into these different worlds of like where they could play, and she would help him understand the idiosyncrasies of him. And that's where a lot of these different characters, he has like the two-headed boy, he has
this is deep.
Yeah, he has these twin sisters he talks about, and they all represent like different, like I said, idiosyncrasies of his personality. So the In the Aeroplane Over the Sea song really shows off their sound, right? Then he gets into Two-Headed Boy, which is just an acoustic song, but it almost feels like a rock song because it's so fast. It's a very fast acoustic song, which is pretty interesting. And he really belts it out here. Like, you might not like the tone of his voice or whatever, but you should hear how long he holds these notes. His lung capacity is insane. And so he's going through it. He's just wailing and talking about this. The beginning of the song talks about two-headed boy. Two-headed. Like I said, I'm going to end up singing here. Sorry. Apologize ahead of time.
Don't sing with that chin, though.
No, yeah. Just keep the chin back and sing it normally. Gotcha. No, that's how amazing Neutral Milk Hotel is. It's chin proof. You can't sing Neutral Milk Hotel with chin. All floating.
Chin proof.
Two-headed boy, all floating in glass. The sun, it is set. Now it is past. I can hear as you're tapping on your jar. So it's talking about this two-headed boys are locked in the jar. And I'm guessing Anne Frank is the woman that the two-headed boy is trying to impress, that he's dancing to in this jar. And so
weird, dude.
Yeah. Like I said, surrealism to the max. And then he talks about making a flying machine for them to fly away on with pulleys and weights and stuff like that.
Was this shit on like Beavis and Butthead back in the day? Did they have
I doubt it. They were very underground back then. They they were not they did not have a big following back in the day. It took them forever.
Where are they from? They're from Louisiana?
Really?
I'm looking.
I know they recorded the band in Athens, Georgia. Like, that's where they came together. They had a really cool recording story. Like, they really went all out for the
recording. From Louisiana.
I did not know that. Wow, that's really weird. I just knew they're like the
Thought
band.
You were a fan, dude.
I know. Fake fan. He
has a t-shirt on and shit.
And actually, this band has also covered them, by the way. They covered this Two-Headed Boy song. Andrew Jackson Jihad,
yeah.
I'm wearing the shirt. Yeah. And they covered the song Two-Headed Boy, which I not a big fan of because like they took away the tempo and they go for this like military drumming tempo. Okay, which is fine, you know, and they're just and they sing it kind of weird. However, and the reason why I got to talk about this is probably the lyrics I'll talk about the most at the end of Two-Headed Boy is some of those beautiful lyrics I've ever heard. And like I said, it's like it's a pretty fast-paced tempo, but then he brings it into this lullaby at the end of the song, and it's beautiful when Andrew Jackson Jihad does it, because I remember they had the stand-up bass. He does the bow. He gets out a bow and does the bass to this, because I'm pretty sure Neutral Milk Hotel, and Jeff Mangum is the singer, his version at the end of the song, like it's just it's a cappella. Like I'm pretty sure he stops or just kind of lightly plucks the guitar at the end for the lullaby part, right? And this really, I think, really shows off his lyrics, where he's like, two-headed boy, there's no reason to grieve. The world that you need is wrapped in gold, silver sleeves left beneath Christmas trees in the snow. And I will take you and leave you alone, watching spirals of white softly flow over your eyelids, and all you did will wait until the point when you have gone.
Bret too short, ladies and gentlemen. Bret too short. He's got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Did I make up for my not knowing Louisiana there? I think I'm a pretty good fanboy, right?
I think you're a fanboy. You didn't know where they're from, but you knew all the lyrics and you sang.
Oh yeah, I know that album back and forth. You better believe it.
Right on.
So, but you see, like he really, like, it seems like for him, almost sort of like he gets an idea, he'll have not just a canvas, but like a structure, if you will, and whatever he wants, that like he'll come up with this idea of like, what's the softest kind of tone I can put to this, and what lyrics. And I think he just has this amazing brain to just pump out every word that's going to relate to that. And so he just came up with all these different nouns that could, white softly flow. Like I'm guessing he started with that lyric and then just spread out the lyrics, because like, I mean, every word of that is just so soft, and it's almost like relentless, and like getting this person to sleep,
Yeah, almost like a meditation.
Yeah,
like a meditation
like
audio.
start your meditation.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The good lyricists and the great singers, they do that. I wonder how that goes down during the recording process. It's like, do they really have a producer there? Like, you should use your lyrics here, and this is the way you should use them, or does that come out naturally after so many times of rehearsing it as a band? You know what I'm saying? Like, because
I think he rehearsed. He had these songs lyrically and sung to a perfect, like, how he wants them for the most part, because he would do all these songs live acoustically by himself for the most part too.
Okay.
So because you can still see him. Like my one friend, he saw them just do these songs live, and he like cried the whole time because it was so like intense. In fact, speaking of memorizing lyrics, Neutral Milk Hotel should have been one of my favorite shows ever, because I saw them in Memphis. I went all the way down to Memphis to see
cool.
them. Yeah, Memphis is a really neat, weird place. By the way,
I've been there. Did you see him on Beale Street?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was like I think the venue used to be an old church or something like that.
Was it on the main strip?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's Beale Street. Yeah.
Yep. And what's weird about Memphis, really quick, is like, did you notice that like they don't really have neighborhoods? Like you'll see like a big, nice, rich house, and then like a shack right next to it, and then like a medium house, and a nice big. Yeah, it's a very strangely built city. And anyway,
it's old, and that's why.
So Neutral Milk came out, and they played one of the, if not the most perfect set I've ever seen somebody play. Like everything I could want from the set list was perfect. They played everything perfectly. They had the whole ensemble there. They had every instrument possible that they needed for this performance, right? I don't know if it's been said on the show, but the crowd is also a key factor in having a great show.
Yeah.
A band could play amazing, and it can only go so far because
with a dud crowd. And
a lot of these crowds started to call you out, Memphis crowd. A lot of fake friends.
Really?
Yeah, I was getting irked because I'm singing everywhere, and it's not like, and it's a super catchy album. Like that's what's amazing. Another amazing part about it, but he's not using typical words, so it makes the catchiness like nicer. It makes it more soluble, and like nobody's singing along. It was driving me insane. Like nobody, like people sing along at a few songs maybe, but like I'm like, you're here. Everybody should know every lyric. It's not hard. Like everybody should be singing along with me. It really irked me, man. They just didn't have the energy,
Yeah, that sucks.
Otherwise, they played absolutely perfectly. It was an amazing set.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
how about transition to any other bands political wise that you're into?
I thought we had banned a bit of political a while ago.
We did kind of, but we're gonna get back into it.
Sure. If you got somebody, I think I've spilt my beans about political for the most part.
Hip hop wise, any hip hop Immortal Technique? I know we talked about.
Oh
that
yeah.
before.
That's right. I forgot. Well, you did already talk about Mortal Technique on the show,
Right?
And I will say, that's a great song by all means, but I hate how far there's plenty of great points in that song, but I think he kind of demeans it with like his Illuminati talk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you can even talk about conspiracies and like what's out there, but just don't bring up the word Illuminati.
Yeah, it doesn't help your cause.
Yeah, it doesn't help the cause. Like it just sucks. It's all underneath that. Like it's been a blanket term, and it's so like factually.
But that was a long time ago. That album came out in like 04.
True. But then again, I mean, he was on Alex Jones, so he's got to be all about that Illuminati still. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy. I'm just saying, like, you're not helping your cause, bro. Like, keep it on the ground, especially when you get into political stuff.
He just needs to put out a new album.
You said he's coming out soon with stuff, doesn't he?
That's what they've been saying for like 10 years.
Oh, brutal.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute for sure.
Right.
But Brett, I'm glad you came on the show. We have had 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We're good to go. And I didn't end on this with the first episode, so I'm going to end on this now.
Sure.
And it's called Meditate on This. And so meditate on this. In life, there's always a lot of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, actually, I know we should all step back and not be so competitive
towards one another.
Competitive towards one another, and just attract the people in your life that you want to attract. Like, just don't be so, I don't know, brazen. Like, just,
right.
Just this isn't all about competition.
You're limiting your relationships.
Exactly. You got to bring people on, and since we've started here at the Green Door, that's what we've done. We've brought people on, and we've received the same type of feedback for the most part, but not always. And we had that right up in the newspaper, and since then, I've seen some hatred. But it's okay, I mean, this is a local thing I'm talking about, but everybody needs to remember we're all on the same team here. We're all doing the same thing. If it comes down to music or freelance journalism or podcasting, like, we all have to be on the same team. So it's not all about competition. So meditate on that.
I mean, if anything, if you have the competitive spirit, which is fine.
Yeah.
If anything, just compete with yourself. I think that's probably you're going to be your best. And I think the people who reach the highest levels of competition, like, compete with themselves.
And they keep it themselves.
Yeah. On the hardest on themselves. Yeah. And but don't be too hard on yourself. Just, use that, just wherever you're at, try and compete against that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, keep going up. Keep
going up. And that's why, I'm glad you came up on the podcast.
I've had too much fun. I could do another hour, by the way, but that's I know I'm being such an indulgent asshole, but
no, we could, and we will in the future. But thanks for coming on, and like I said, we're all using each other for the same platform.
Oh, absolutely! I can't wait to have you on our show.
Yeah,
I can't wait for you and John. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Along with really quick, can I do favorite Radiohead song? I decided to
do it.
Okay,
we're gonna finish with Radiohead.
Okay, you want to try and guess what my favorite Radiohead album is?
You look like Kid A kind of guy,
which is I can't stand Kid A, people. But that's okay. Don't get. I say that. Just say that very lightly. I know it's an amazing album, and it's cool if like that's what really got you into Radiohead. No, I get it. But it has some of my favorite songs. Absolutely. So talk about dark lyrics, How to Disappear Completely. Holy shit, that's that man was in a bad place when he wrote that. But close.
So you're an Amnesiac guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, which you're not a fan of, right?
I like Amnesiac a lot.
Okay. Because you got to give him, there's nothing that sounds like Amnesiac.
No.
Amnesiac.
Was that Kid A was the B-side of Amnesiac, or was
Amnesiac's
the B-side of Kid A?
Yes.
Okay.
Because apparently, like, the front of Kid A with the mountains, there's like a little fire. Apparently, Amnesiac is the zoom up of that fire.
Okay.
That's the album cover of Amnesiac.
Okay.
Apparently. I might be wrong, but somebody still
sounds about right.
Yeah.
I have both of those on 10-inch vinyl, by the way. And it's random, but it's so cool.
Joe just begging me to come to his house and listen to these records.
Come on over.
Yeah, I got something to show you, kid.
Amnesiac. That came out, what, 2000?
2002, I think.
Was that 02?
Kid A's 2000.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And an interesting story about it, because Amnesiac is how I became a Radiohead fan, because I was always just kind of like, yeah, they're the Beavis and Butthead, make fun of the artsy band guys. And they always thought they're, just like artsy pop, whatever. And I actually got a book from the Hobart Library. And in this book, I'm not kidding, I opened up and there's a CD of Amnesiac in it. Like somebody just used it as a bookmark or something and left it in there.
That's so weird and random.
How weird is that? And I'm like, fuck it, I'll check out Radiohead. And like immediately I was like, oh, this the ding 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 ding, and I'm a reasonable man, get off my case. However, and this is my favorite album, not because of that little personal story and stuff like that, and it's a great album anyway. And like I said, it sounds so unique and it's so different for Radiohead. My favorite song, it also has my favorite Radiohead song, which is kind of an anti-Radiohead song almost. It's not, by all means, it doesn't really capture their sound, but I Might Be Wrong is actually my favorite Radiohead song because I love it because it's Radiohead.
How does that go again? You got it because you could sing. You got it. I love that song too, but I can't think. Yeah, the bass. Yeah.
Let's go down the waterfall.
Yeah.
Think about the good times. Nothing at all.
Hell yeah.
Nothing at all. Doom to doom. Doom 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 to doom. It's so simple. Tom York gets knocked for his voice because he's so goddamn experimental with his voice, and I appreciate the fuck out of that. But I love this because it's not experimental. He keeps it's low key, smooth Tom York, and I just eat it up all day. So
what's not to like about Radiohead? I don't get it. I mean, I know they're pretty.
Ask Kid Rock. I don't know.
I mean,
that's the way you tone down.
They're pretty glib. But besides being glib, I don't know, man. If you don't like Radiohead and you're a musician and
if you don't like Radiohead, then straight up fuck you.
Yeah, right. You gotta do a
rap
about it. But.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I got that from. I ripped it off of something. And so those lyrics are pretty simple. There's only 3 or 4 stanzas. There's no real. It kind of has a chorus. But when I looked up the lyrics simply on my behalf, I was like, I might be wrong. Oh shit, I don't even know the lyrics to that song. It's my favorite fucking song because I just love the sound of it so much. And my initial things is I might be wrong, and I figured he was gonna talk about suicide. Because ooh, I don't know if I want to commit suicide. I might be wrong about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, but it's also about a relationship because he actually has a very sexual part in there. Talking about let me fall into you or something like that. Speaking of full circle into sinking in.
Episode 1 of lyrical content. Yeah.
And I encourage those lyrics. It's and I think he's also saying I might be wrong about living in the present moment because he talks about let's just go down the waterfall and just enjoy our lives kind of thing. I probably actually had the lyrics up, but I know we're running out of time.
No, we're good. I'm looking too. I'm just looking at some little
snippets of it.
Little snippets of back history of Amnesiac.
Oh, okay.
It was released in June 2001. That's when I graduated high school.
Wow.
I think I had that before that.
So Amnesiac was 2001, so it came out right after Kid A, hence the B-side?
Yes, it is the B-side. You were correct. That's crazy. Life is a Glass House. They stressed that they saw...
Talk about jazz, huh?
Yeah, they stressed that they saw Amnesiac as not as a collective B-side, but leftovers from Kid A.
That's a hell of leftovers.
In its own right?
I guess that makes me a bad Radiohead fan. You just like the leftovers, bro?
Yeah, it topped the UK charts and reached number 2 in the US. And it was nominated for a Grammy. Wow. Radiohead embarked on a world tour visiting the US, Europe, and Japan. Pyramid Song and Knives Out. I like Knives Out.
Oh yeah, Knives Out right after I Might Be Wrong.
Yeah,
that's the next track after. Oh, that's a really cool video too by the Michel Gondry, the director. One of the lines is I used to think there was no future left at all.
Yeah,
that's a cool line. And that's what I mean by living in the presence, And you used to think. So I think he's kind of wrong. But one of the lines is "Open up, let me in, and let's go down the waterfall, have ourselves a good time."
Yeah, there we go, Tom York.
There you go. And considering, and then the beginning song is I might be wrong. I could have swore there was a light coming on. I'm guessing they're in the middle of doing it and is somebody here?
Somebody was maybe washing or something.
Or somebody was about to walk in or something. Yeah. Great song. So
hell yeah, Brett. Well, before we quit, one more time, where can everybody find your podcast at? What's the
You
name?
can find this indulgent asshole at the podcast GG Stalin and the Absurdity Junkies on right now on iTunes and SoundCloud. You should be able to find us on other platforms very soon.
Cool. We're gonna have Bret on again. Thanks for coming out, dude.
We're gonna have Joe on.
I hope so. I better come on.
Indeed.
All right,
dude.
Joe.
It was great.
All right, adios, y'all. I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated.
Producer my ass over there.